What is up, Colts Nation? No Horse and Family. Welcome back to an episode of the No Horse and Ground podcast. As always, I am one of two dudes talking Colts. One of your hosts, Stephen Burton. And today, we're just going to kind of chat, you guys. We got a couple different fun things we can talk about. We got the Jim Irsay news, right? We've got the Michael Pittman comments. We got the update about Anthony Richardson. We got the talk about the refs. We even then, hey, we might as well. We got the Saints game coming up, so we're going to get on to that too. So let's kind of go. Let's start with the biggest topic right now, which would definitely be, I would say, the recent Jim Irsay news. And as always, as you guys come into the chat, would love to hear from you. Love to hear what you guys think, what you guys are wanting to talk about too. So, for those who have been living under a rock, right, the last couple of days, really the last 24 hours. So let's trace back to Sunday, the pass interference on the second to last play, and then you had the pass interference with the uncatchable ball. I think everybody who's probably jumping in here saw the instant reaction, saw how myself and Zach both felt, saw how I felt, heard how Zach felt, kind of felt everything, right? And we knew that the call was bad. You kind of felt that the call was not a great call, and you kind of felt helpless because it definitely cost the Colts the game, right? So fast forward a couple of days to this morning, essentially, late last night, and you get to Jim Irsay kind of releasing a very nondescript message, right? Hey, Anthony Richardson had a successful surgery, which we'll talk about later. And by the way, just so y'all know, the NFL called and admitted that they got those two calls wrong. Boom, right? Boom. The fact that that the NFL admitted they were wrong, I'm not stunned about. I think they do it quite a bit. I think they admit that they're wrong to the teams. But I think from what we gathered over this next 12 hours, really, with Ian Rappaport and Garofalo and all of them, right, is that you're not supposed to tell people that the NFL let you know that they were wrong. And Jim Irsay just got his Twitter fingers out and decided, I'm going to let everybody know that the NFL told me that they were wrong. Odds are, from everything that I've heard and that I've read, he's going to get fined. There's going to be some sort of discipline. Do I think he cares? No. I think Ian Rappaport probably said it best. That text message, that wasn't for reporters. That wasn't for the NFL. That wasn't for really anybody except for us Colts fans. For him to let us know, hey, I know it sucks, but this is what happened. And I'm going to let you know, because that's kind of what Jim Irsay has always done, right? He tweets before he thinks sometimes. So if they're going to fine him, do I think that he cares? Absolutely not. I mean, he marches to the beat of his own drum. He does his own thing. You kind of look at the whole situation as well. Is it big news that they admitted they were wrong? No, it just does make you feel better about the argument that was being made on Sunday. If you go and you look at the instant reaction video, there's 100-something comments, right? And there's a lot of Browns fans saying boo hoo, it wasn't a foul, it wasn't a penalty, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. Well, this kind of proves that, yeah, we were right. As Colts fans, we were absolutely right to be upset, because it absolutely was wrong. It was not the correct call, and it cost the Colts a win. 3-4 looks a lot different from 4-3. It sucks. As a fan, it doesn't do a lot except for validate you. It doesn't change the outcome. It doesn't change what happened on Sunday, and it doesn't change the fact that it's a loss that should have been a win, and that they shouldn't be the Browns shouldn't have got the win. So, see, Basil's here. Basil, Think you're wrong about that. That was a shot at the NFL. Fan service doesn't do much. I mean, it's true. I mean, it could. I don't think he's taking shots at the NFL necessarily, Boswell, because he does. He has a deep, profound respect for the NFL. He grew up in the NFL, right? Like his dad owned the Baltimore Colts. He has a high level of respect. I think that's why he came out like he did last year against Dan Snyder and said that they should vote him out because he has a deep sense of honor almost as an owner. Um, he views it as an honor to be an owner in the NFL. So I think he was letting them know. I do, like I said, I don't think he gives. He's I don't think he gives two craps if the NFL's upset about it or not. That's why I think it was for the fans too. He was letting us know, hey, this is what happened. They finally owned up to it. It was wrong. So, I mean, it is what it is. It was a big piece of news today, obviously, because Steichen had to answer for it. Irsay doesn't really have to answer for it. Um, so we'll see kind of where it goes. Now, another piece of that, before we get to the other topic on there about Anthony Richardson, is obviously the idea that he brought up about all penalties should be reviewed under 2 minutes. From what we've gathered from listening to like a Stephen Holder and an Ian Rappaport, like that's a non-starter. Like they're not going to do that. Um, I would love to hear from you guys and see if that's something you guys think they should do. Do you think they should review penalties? I don't think so. I mean, there's a human element to it. I know a lot of people are talking about like the gambling side, and you got to get it right. I don't think you're ever going to get it right. It just sucks when it's on your side, right? It just sucks when it happens to your team. I do think that there should be a lot more accountability, like public accountability, for when the referees do mess up, because there's not a lot in regards to what the NFL does. I'm sure they punish privately. You've heard people being taken off of games or not being able to work the playoffs. But as far as like, oh, like, hey, they were wrong. Like they don't ever do that. So I mean, I would like to see more of that. That would be interesting to me to see them kind of hold them more publicly accountable. Uh, well, what do you guys think? Do you guys like that he came out and said it? Does it make you feel like validated? Does it do anything for you? Like, does it actually do anything for you, or does it do nothing for you? And you're just kind of like, well, it is what it is. The game was coming past. I would also love to hear from you guys. We are today's Wednesday. So Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're 3 days out from it. Are you still bitter? Like, are you still angry about about the call, about the game? Are you still upset? Have you moved on? I can tell you, as a 37-year-old man who has been a fan of this team for probably close to, I would say, 30 years, right? Most of the time, I mean, I have a wife, I have 2 kids. Y'all see them sometimes when they come through, right? Um, I shake that off really quickly. I was upset for 24 hours, which is odd for me. So, I mean, I want to know what you guys, bleed blue, glad he did it. Yeah, I mean, I think we're all glad that he called him out. Um, so let's get to the third part of his tweet, which I think is an interesting one, right? Which is the idea that, wait, before we get to that, Corey, what's up, man? Thanks for jumping in. Interesting, the same back judge threw both of those back-to-back flags. I think he should be suspended at least. Something wasn't adding up. Okay, so I want to touch on this too. Do I think the game was rigged? Absolutely not. Do I think they wanted the Browns to win? No. Do I just think that they were really shitty calls? Yes. They just weren't good calls. They weren't. They should have at the bare minimum on the second call. They should have huddled up and been like, "Hey, is that uncatchable? Yeah, that's uncatchable. Okay, let's go." But do I think that it was like this grand conspiracy for the Browns to win? No. So So let's jump forward to the next part of that tweet that obviously was being heavily reported. Anthony Richardson, successful shoulder surgery, no timetable on when he's going to be back. I think most people are saying, I think it's 3 to 4 months is what we've heard. He'll be ready probably for the offseason program. I found it really interesting. I mean, I'm listening to KB, Kevin Bowen and them in the morning, and I found it so super interesting. And I want to make sure that I get this right. So I'm going to look it up as I'm talking to you guys. Uh, who did the surgery, right? So let me see this. And if you know it, you can drop it in the comments real quick. It might be a little quicker than me looking. But who was it? Let me look real quick. Let me see. There it is. Dr. Neil, and I cannot pronounce his last name. So I feel horrible. Dr. Neil Ella Atarchi, which I think is super interesting because Stephen Holder, Kevin Bowen, they're all kind of talking about him. And you do a little bit of research, right? Like, so everyone knows who Dr. James Andrews is. He's like the renowned surgeon that everybody goes to for any kind of sports injuries. It sounds like this guy might be like the new dude when you start doing a little bit of research on who he is and some of the clients that he's had. Holy smokes, man. I mean, I'm looking at his website right now. Let me see if I can find some of his clients. I mean, eight notable cases in 2020. I mean, dude, he did the Tommy John surgery for Chris Sale. He did a shoulder surgery for Cody Bellinger. He worked on the ACL for Joe Burrow. He did a right elbow. So let's see who else. He did the ACL surgery for Saquon. He did the ACL surgery for Kelsey Plum. For those who don't know who she is, extremely talented WNBA player. And then let's not forget that I know that some of the recent talk was he did the Achilles surgery for Aaron Rodgers. He also did. Man, this is insane. You start looking through. I mean, I know he did the Achilles. He also did the Achilles for Kobe Bryant back in the day. I mean, so you're in really good hands. He's done a lot of shoulder surgeries too, which is just crazy to read. So I mean, good hands, good surgery. They said he was in good spirits. Let's check this out. Spooks Hill, Joe. Thanks for jumping in, man. People can say what they want about Irsay, but I happen to like him being outspoken. Irsay is no dummy. He knows what's going on. Anytime there's gambling involved, you're going to have this stuff going on. Like I said, I don't think there's anybody throwing the game, but Irsay's not stupid. A lot of people assume that he is. Excuse me, guys. A lot of people kind of view him as this stupid guy, but he's absolutely not. He's extremely intelligent, and he is, I would say, deeply devoted to his team. So, Corey dropping in here. Corey, Dr. Neil, a renowned surgeon who's done procedures on the late Kobe Bryant and did Aaron Rodgers' recent Achilles. Absolutely. Name those two. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, everyone looks at that and goes, holy smokes. I mean, he might be back this year with the way, I mean, he was supposed to be in a boot and he's in tennis shoes. He's supposed to be on crutches. He's walking on his own. Not to say like this is going to be the same for the shoulder for Anthony Richardson, that suddenly he's going to be throwing in like, 2 months or in a month. So I mean, it's interesting. It's a big bummer still that he's out, but good news coming out of it. Good news hearing from it. And it's not just Irsay that we heard from. We heard from Holder. We heard from Rappaport. We heard from Schefter. Obviously, we haven't heard from AR. I'm sure we will. I'm sure before he, not too long, and before you know it, he'll probably be back on the sideline at some way, shape, or form. He's going to want to be out there with his team. We talked about it a couple weeks ago that just because he's physically not able to take the reps, he can still be in the building. He can still be in the meetings. He can still get a lot of mental reps and kind of be on that sideline and try to soak as much in as he can until he's ready to play next year. Um, what do you guys think? You tell me. Good news, bad news. You feel a little bit better now that at least the surgery is done, and you don't really have a timeline, but you feel okay. You know that it did well. You know that it was reported that there was no additional damage. Um, y'all let me know. So, if Basel is still in here, let's talk about Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah. So let's have a little chat about Michael Pittman Jr.'s comments earlier in the week after the game about being upset that he only had, I think, 2 catches in the game on Sunday against the Browns. So Boswell made a Boswell, if you're in here, fire back, man. Made a comment on the instant reaction because I didn't really do a video in regards to my feelings about Michael Pittman Jr., which I had no problem. I had no problem. He made a comment about relaying it to kind of like the skewering that JT took. JT took it for a different reason, I think, than Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, I don't think anybody was upset, right? He came out today, obviously, talked about that he's a competitor. Sometimes it gets the best of him. He's a really poor loser. It was right after a really tough loss, and he just wants to play. He just wants to be in the game. Talking and hearing from Steichen, it's the same way for him. He felt the same, that it's just a guy who wants to be involved. I would say that if you're going to take a bet on receptions, I would go on the over for him this week because most of the time when you say give me the ball, they're going to give you the ball. Do I have a problem with what he said at all? No, I do not have a problem with what he said. I don't think it was bad. He wants to be involved, right? Uh, he is a, I think he is a, I'm not going to call him the security blanket. I think Gardner likes to go to him. I think Joshua Downs is obviously the security blanket, right? Like when in doubt, dump it down to Downs, and he's going to get you, 7, 8 yards. Um, I don't have, like I said, I don't have a problem with it at all. I don't think he said anything that was negative. I don't think he said anything that would cause like disruption in the team. He didn't say like, I give me the damn ball. Like Keyshawn back in the day, he's like, I want to be involved. Like I feel like when I'm involved, I make a difference. And he's right. Like he's not wrong. He is the number one receiver on this team. You have Joshua Jones, who is by far the number two, in my opinion. You have Alec Pierce, who still has a lot to show me. Like he's made some big catches, but he's got to do them consistently. I got to see it consistently. He showed me a lot this past weekend, mainly due to the fact that I didn't think he was going to play. Um, and for him to play and to have a solid game, I was impressed. But as far as Michael Pittman Jr. goes, I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem paying him. I think they should pay him. Uh, but I also think that they should load up. Like another topic for you guys, and another topic in general is the Jerry Judy talk. We heard a lot from Destin, who y'all know I know Destin. I trust Destin. That there was a lot of calls going back and forth. And then you heard from Stephen Holder that it was mainly the Broncos reaching out to the Colts. I got no problem making a trade for Jerry Judy. A lot of people are like, well, he's not very good. He's not played well. He's not had really any quarterbacks in Denver, right? And I don't understand the problem with trying to accumulate as much talent as you can have. He was a high first round pick who's only going into year 3. Accumulate as much talent as you can possibly do. Accumulate as many weapons as you can possibly get to make life easier on your quarterback when he gets back next year. Here we go. Basel, I'm still in here just behind by a few minutes. I had to pause for a bit, but you're at 1.5 speed for the time. Dude, I feel like that means I'm talking like really fast like this. That's kind of crazy, man. Um, you'll see it and you'll comment. It's okay. But I mean, I got no problem. Like, accumulate talent, accumulate weapons, make it as easy as possible. Um, Go out and get it. Go out and find somebody who's going to do those things. Uh, and truthfully, like you can also like it's kind of hedging your bets. Are you going to resign Michael Pittman Jr.? I personally think they're going to. I think that they're big fans of like his work ethic. And I mean, truthfully, you guys, like you look at his stats, I'm going to pull them up. And it's kind of crazy that he's been able to do what he's done, right? Through his first couple years in the league. So, I mean, let me pull these up. Michael Pittman Jr. stats. Okay, so like his rookie year, he had Philip Rivers and he had 503 yards and 1 touchdown, right? Second year was by far his best, but he had a quarterback who had a cannon for an arm. Say what you want about him in general, but he had Carson Wentz, right? So he had a cannon for an arm. He had over 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns, right? Then last year he had 925 yards and 4 touchdowns. I mean, and then you look at this year, he already has 489 and 2. And man, oh man, I'll tell you what, like his number of targets is insane when you really look at this. You know, I mean, last year he had 141 targets and 99 catches. So I mean, he's a big part of the offense. I think they really like him. I think they sign him. You know, we talked about it in the offseason. What would you be willing to pay him? Because receivers are making, 20 something $1 million a year. Are you willing to pay that? Um, I might be. I mean, it is what it is. I think everyone's eyes are going to go bug eyed when they see what he gets. Bleed Blue, Pitt about to have the same quarterback for 2 years in a row. LOL, that's huge if you ask me. I agree. They talked about it on the radio this morning, though, that you could tell Stephen Holder talked about that he was upset that AR went down because I think he knew that he was developing a good rapport and a good chemistry with him, and it was going to do wonders for him. A receiver is only good as the quarterback that's throwing him the ball. KZell, I would re-sign Pittman. Yes. Okay, so let's ask the chat. We got about 12 of you guys in here now. We're talking about Michael Pittman Jr. What are you comfortable paying him? Like, what do you want to pay him? We got a lot of people now who have said, "Hey, I want to re-sign him." What do you want to pay him? NFL wide receiver contracts. What are you willing to pay Michael Pittman Jr.? It's a great question, right? So you go on Spotrac. Let's see. So I mean, let's see. Let's go to average a season. Okay. I mean, the top wide receivers are getting over $20 million a season. Do you want to pay that? Right? I mean, are you willing to pay him 20 something $1 million a season? I mean, to get him, the craziest thing is you start looking at these numbers, you guys, right? Like, look at these numbers. To get him into the top 10 highest paid, that's $24 million. That's DK Metcalf. You think he's as good as Terry McLaurin? McLaurin's making 22. You think he's as good as Amari Cooper? Amari Cooper's making 20. Mike Williams making 20. Chris Godwin, 20. I think he's better than them. I think he's better than I think he's like a Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen's making 20. Is he better than McLaurin or Debo? Like they're making 20, 23, 24. AJ Brown, 25. So I mean, what are you willing to pay him? Like I would love to hear from you guys. What are you willing to pay him? My comment, okay, here we go, Basel. My comment the other day was more about you poo-pooing all the media discussion of JT and how you guys did not like it, even though JT did not actually say any of it publicly. Uh, I did. Okay, so we can rewind. I don't want to go too much revisionist history, right? But I didn't like the the way that I didn't like that he didn't say anything. I'll be honest, I didn't like that he didn't say anything because he allowed other people, and I can say like myself, right, to put words in his mouth because he didn't say anything. Now, obviously, he's come out since then in the trenches, right? With Zaire, he's talked about it that he never intended to leave. He had talked to the agent; he didn't want to go. Um, so I mean, but when you don't speak, you allow other people to speak for you, and they speak incorrectly. And enough people were speaking incorrectly about JT in the offseason that it pissed me off. Yes. Oh yeah, there was very much a live stream sitting right here where I said, just trade him. I'm done. I'll fully admit it. But you know what? I was wrong. I can also admit that I was wrong. That he's still here, and maybe he didn't say all those things. It doesn't sound like he did. So let's see. Boswell, you both referenced Pitt and how he was handling his negotiations. Now Pitt makes this comment publicly while his targets are 20% higher than the next guy on the team. Um, you're right. We did. We did make comments, and you can't compare apples to apples to oranges, right? Like you're comparing him in season after a game, complaining about his touches in a not in the season in a specific game, right? Which he had 2 receptions in that game in an extremely tough loss. If you compare apples to apples, JT was up for a contract extension and Pittman Jr. is up for a contract extension. They both show up to camp. JT holds out, doesn't practice throughout camp, goes to get treatment, reportedly requests a trade, wants all these different things. Pittman just shows up in place. That's the apples to apples. They approached it very, very differently in the offseason. The question is the way that JT approached it and then he got paid, does that affect how Michael Pittman then approaches it in the season? Like I said earlier, and I know you're listening at 1.5, so you can go back and check it again. I got no problem with the comments he made. I think he wanted to be more involved in the game. He wanted to be more involved in what was going on in that game. And it's not going to be lost. Like we cannot make sure that we have to make sure it's not lost. It was a extremely difficult game and a very difficult loss. Like you went from, I mean, I know me personally watching the game, I went from basically running around the house when DeForest Buckner picks up the fumble to they lost the game, and that was a span of like maybe 10 minutes. And I'm a fan. So, I mean, you show up, 15 minutes after the game with a mic in your face and you've just lost. I'm surprised more people don't say stuff. Bleed Blue. Zaire Franklin's podcast with JT on it really tells what the media does. Yeah. But it also, I mean, it says what I just said, which is when you don't speak for yourself, like it's great. You're going to be quiet and go about it. But when you don't speak for yourself and things are coming out, other people are going to speak for you. That's not just me. Kevin Bowen talked about it repeatedly. He just wanted to hear from JT. Stop letting other people write your story. Tell your own story. You can come and tell it at any time. Hey, I didn't request a trade. Hey, I wanted to be here. Hey, I didn't do this. Hey, I was this. Don't let other people speak for you because there are people, even in that market or in general, that are not going to speak highly no matter what you say. KZL, so we're talking about Michael Pittman Jr., 3 years, $50 million. What is that annually? What is that? Let's see. 50 million divided by 3. So 16 million. So let's put that in perspective. Okay? I'm going to put it in perspective. If you want to pay him $16 million a year, let's just say that's what it is. $16 million a year puts him right above Allen Robinson and below Hunter Renfrow. Is he better than both of those? Yeah. Yeah, I would say he is. I mean, I've always said I would give him like a Christian Kirk type of deal. Christian Kirk got 4 years, $72 million. That's about 18. That's about, what is that, about 18 a year? Yeah, about 18 a year. I think you can get away with that. Let's see. Boswell, I don't have a problem with Pitt, but I did not have a problem with JT either. Mostly just giving you shit for your earlier JT takes. All in fun. Hey, you can. I mean, my take was pretty steady. I like to think my take was pretty steady and even until I just got frustrated. And I was just, I think my frustration was if it was true that he did not want to be here, then you don't want him there. But I don't know if that was ever the case, I mean, you forget as a fan, right? It's a business. Business is business, man. Like this is what they get paid. They get paid handsomely to do it. But I mean, this was his chance to get the big payday. So I mean, and we always joke, takes change. It is what it is. Okay, so I was thinking 2020, not 10. I don't know. You're gonna have to rephrase that. So you're thinking 20 million a year? I mean, that's probably right? I mean, you pay him about $20 million a year. that feels right, that feels appropriate for him. Um, I mean, I'd be okay with it. You've got a rookie on, you've got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You're not paying him. And like I said earlier, man, give me as much talent and as many weapons as possible for this quarterback. Load it up. Right now, you have Michael Pittman Jr., who I think is a very, very solid wide receiver. You have you have Alec Pierce, who he has a lot left to show me. You have Joshua Downs, who I think we can all agree the hype train that we had during the offseason. Zach joked about it that pre-draft, he's somebody I wanted on the Colts. I talked really highly of him at that point too. Um, I've been big on him. I even talked about him as offensive rookie of the year potentially, which was difficult because being on the team with Anthony Richardson. But who knows now with Anthony Richardson on there? I think he's proven to be really big. But go accumulate talent, man. Just find the talent and don't let talent leave if you can afford it. Right? Boswell Kirk is overpaid, but he's about at that level. Pitt is not worth 20 a year. The wide receiver market is so overvalued. Okay, so I agree. It is overvalued. No, Kirk is getting about 18 million a year, and I think I think we can all agree that's about where Pitt would probably be. And whether it's overvalued or overpaid, it's market value. That's the issue, right? That's excuse me. That is the issue. You have to pay market value. You got to pay what it says. It's kind of like, for the most part, the next great quarterback who's up, he gets the big contract. Is he worth it? Not all the time, you know, but does he get it? Yeah. I mean, is Herbert worth the fact that he's the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL? Some would say no. I think he's really good. I think he has a horrendous head coach. If you follow me on Twitter at Stephen Burton 86, you know that I think he has an extremely poor head coach. Blue, sign Pitt, sign Pitt, sign Pitt. I would agree. KZL 21st, 22nd, 10. I don't I get what you're saying. You're saying 20 in the first year, 20 in the second, 10 in the last year. Okay. All right. Okay, let's see. Bleed Blue, Pitt and Downs, nice combo. Alec has gave me question marks too. It's nice to know that we have AR, and I hope Pitt feels the same. They at least know what the offense would be like next season. I agree. Um, Here's the cool thing, right? Like, it would have been great. Obviously, it would have been great to see AR for a full season. What you saw was really encouraging. When you have that guy, which I think a lot of us will agree, we think that we do, people want to, and you have the personality that AR has from what we've seen, the connection he has with the teammates. I think Stephen Holder said one time, like he had like the team like in the palm of his hand, like they adore him. Um, when you have that kind of personality at quarterback who is also dynamic, it could be the first time in a while that you have somebody who other players are drawn to want to play with. I'm not saying like free agency and all of a sudden like Ballard's going to open up and just start paying people, but you have like, you always hear like these people say, "Hey, I want to be traded, and here's my list of who I want to play with." Right? Like you have the chance that's your guy is one of those guys that they say, "I want to play with Richardson." Like they used to say, like I want to play with Russell Wilson or Tom Brady or Michael Vick or things like that. Like you have a chance where that's what you want. Yeah, okay, bud. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I think now. Do I think that if we lowball Pitt, yeah, do I think he leaves? Probably. I mean, but I do think they really like him. I do think that Pitt likes it here. Um, he's got two kids. Put down a little bit of roots, and the business side. I think it gets lost a lot of time with MP. Is that he grew up kind of in this business, right? Like his dad is an extremely well-known running back, longtime NFL running back who understands the business side of it too. And he grew up around that. So I think that helps in him understanding how he handles this overall situation with his contract. Boswell fans talk about Metcalf, who's getting 24 million. If you extrapolate his production for that value, Pitt should get about 15.8, and that's if you think Metcalf is appropriately compensated. I think Metcalf is okay. Like this isn't, and Herbicide's not in here, so I'm not going to offend him. Metcalf's kind of like a one route kind of guy, just a go route. I mean, 24 million is a lot for him. 15.8, I feel like is probably too low for Pitt. Here's the thing: like you place your value on him, and then like add like 3 million. Like I think there's like a negotiating tax for dealing with receivers, right? Like this is what I'd like to pay you. Now the market dictates this. So I think you have to pay him accordingly. Now, here's the thing too with Pittman Jr., right? I want to get this off my chest. Everybody knows I don't live in market, right? I live in a rival market. I live in Tennessee. And the way that we talk about Pittman Jr. as Colts fans is vastly different from the way that other people talk about him outside of Indy. And in Tennessee, he is viewed as a solid number one. He's not Tyreek Hill. He's not uh he's not, you know, Justin Jefferson, but there's a lot of teams that would love him. The Titans would love to have him because they don't have anybody, right? So I mean, he is viewed very differently, I think, outside of Indy than inside of Indy. Kazel, let's see. So too low, that's not market, bro. I mean, I agree. Like I said, I think 18 to 20 is going to get it done for Pittman Jr. I think they're going to, knowing Ballard and the way the Colts operate, they're going to try to lean more towards that 18. Blue, I just feel bad for him. He's had a different quarterback every season of his career, not to mention last year. Yeah, I mean, yeah. His bet, and his game, you can tell too, like his game lends itself to a Carson Wentz, to an Anthony Richardson, that big arm quarterback. And you don't have that now in Gardner Minshew. We know that you don't. You didn't have it last year in Matt Ryan, and I think that affected his stats. And a receiver's stats are dependent on who's getting them the ball. And when you have this up and down nature of it, I think that greatly affects. That's why I don't have a problem with Jerry Jeudy, as many people do. People are like, man, he's not played well. Look at his stats. Look who he's played with. Like Russell Wilson's playing better this year, but was hot garbage last year. And the year before that, who did he have? Like he's not had great quarterbacks. You could plug and play. Like everyone knows like what my what my power play move is. Somebody joked and said I'm out here playing Madden. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Let's see. You think in 2015 market at 15 mil, the wide receiver market is going up. 20 million is cheap in this market. It is. But he's also like, you tell me, Zell, is he worth 23? Like it's not the same as the quarterback, right? Like it's not quite the same as the quarterback that you have to do the next big one is the next big contract. Because we both know, and everyone in the chat knows who the next big contract is. Like Tyreek Hill's getting, I think, 30 million a year. Justin Jefferson's sitting out there. He's not had his contract yet. Rumor has it is that he's saying what happens with Kirk Cousins. He may not want to be there anymore. He's the next big shoe to drop on what that looks like. Let teams overpay and they will suffer in other positions. That's true. And a lot of people will point to what Ballard always says, but you gotta really make sure you understand. It's not saying he won't pay players. He does not want to play B players A money. He's not going to pay a number 3 wideout, number 1 wideout money. He's just not. I like Pitt. I don't like overpaying. JT is not getting overpaid. I think JT's contract's really good, actually. I don't have a problem with JT's contract. Depends on the team. Somewhat agree. Eagles signing everybody. Eagles trading for everybody. I mean, God bless, right? They trade for Kevin Byard. and you had heard that living in Tennessee. I heard that for quite a while that they were sniffing around him. The fun fact for all Colts fans is the big name right now is it was reported by Buck Rising on A to Z Sports, which for those A to Z is a reputable source. That's where Destin works. It's a good source. Buck is also on the radio here in Tennessee, and he reported that the Ravens are the ones who are sniffing around the most around Derrick Henry. So keep an eye on that. Zell, 18-20 for Pittman. It's fine unless we get Marv Jr., which I doubt. We are not going to. Okay, so let's put that that's not going to happen. Dude is going to go. He's going to probably go number 2. So as of right now, the Bears have the first pick, and they'll go Caleb Williams. And then the Cardinals have the second pick, and they're not going to go Drake May. They'll go Marvin Harrison Jr. and give Kyler Murray a weapon, an amazing weapon. So much love, Colts Nation. Hey, thanks for jumping in here, Zell. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. So Spook Hills, Joe, 2-year deal at $32 million, no more. I'm not a Pitt fan. What has he done in 4 years? Let's all be real here. We have a young rookie coming who's going to be that true number 1 we need. We're talking about Downs, or are we talking about someone in the draft? I would love give me a little clarification. Are you talking about Downs being the rookie receiver that's looked great? I think he's fantastic. I've compared him. I think he's like he's that dude. He's like a Wes Welker, Julian Edelman, Hunter Renfrow, Cooper Kupp. Like, he's going to run amazing routes, and he's going to be the guy who gets, like, when he really gets in the groove, getting like 100+ catches a year, and he just moves the chains. Like, he's just that guy, man, who just moves them. But are you talking about him? Or I have a feeling you're talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's not coming. Like, you're too good a team to lose the rest of your games to be in contention to get him. He's a consensus top 5 pick, top 3, probably widely considered the best non-quarterback if in the draft. Yeah, I mean, it's not. If you're talking about him, that's not going to happen. Let's see, Joe. I can get there. 2 years, $32 million. Downs is amazing. Hey, I love Downs. Let's see, Basel. Arizona is not taking Marv Jr. at 2. This coming QB class is way better than what we just had. Trading down. I actually hadn't thought about that. For them, we'll talk way, way more when we get there. But I hadn't thought about that. That's not bad. I mean, I could see them getting a weapon. I could see them doing a couple different things. What I mean by that, though, is that if they're trading down, someone's trading up either for Drake May or Marvin Harrison Jr., and it ain't us. Let's see, Bleed Blue Downs is TY 2.0. I could see it. Spook Hill Joe, yes, you're talking about Downs. Okay. Yeah, I mean, Downs has looked great. And for those of you who have been around the show long enough, if Zach were here, he would say the same thing too. How much I adore Downs in the pre-draft process, how excited I was for us to draft him, how high I was on him in the offseason, in the preseason, and what I've thought the entire time of him. And he's done nothing to prove me wrong. He is already a legitimate number 2. Basel, I see them taking a quarterback over Marv at 2. Murray is a piece. I see. My only thing with it is, and I'll say this is the only thing I'll say. I watch a lot of NFL outside the Colts too. Is I don't think that they can stomach moving Murray for anybody but Caleb Williams. I think that's the only person you can be like, oh, okay, and you trade Kyler Murray away. I don't think it's like Drake May or Shedeur Sanders or whoever's going to be the number 2, right? Or Michael Penix Jr. I don't think it's going to be anybody like that. I think the only way you can justify it, it's kind of like the Bears, right? A lot of people are going to say the only way you can justify moving off of Justin Fields is for Caleb Williams. So, all right, so let's talk a little bit about here because I'm going to go probably like another 10 minutes. Let's talk about the game against the Saints. Let's talk about what's coming up. How are we feeling? You're coming off of this big letdown loss to the Browns, and you're coming into an extremely winnable game. I think. I don't think the Saints are they are not the Saints of several years ago. They are not the Drew Brees, Sean Payton Saints. They are the Dennis Allen, who is a horrendous head coach, and a Derek Carr, who I like Derek Carr, but something's off. He's not on the same page with his receivers. They can't get into the end zone. Michael Thomas is a whoa. That was very odd. Yeah, we did lose the stream for a second, Basel, but I'm back. I'm going to finish this out real quick. I don't know what happened there. That was really odd. So, yeah, it's not the Saints team of old. It's not the one that I, as I'm concerned, Cam Jordan, still Cam Jordan. I would look at this as a game that I think the Colts need to have. 4-4 is a hell of a lot different from 3-5. I think that the Colts get that win. I think the Colts, I think it's probably like 24-14, something like that. That's my prediction. So would love to hear from what you guys think. What are some of your predictions? While you guys drop those in the chat, I just want to thank you guys again for turning out for the live stream. It's a blast getting to do it. It's a blast getting to talk to everybody. Me and Zach always joked that when we started this, 3 years ago, we never would have thought that it would have taken off the way that it did and has. And we're just kind of two, he always says, like two bearded kind of numbskulls who are able to have a mic and a platform and talk about the team we love with people who also love them the same way. So If you've not yet, I would love for you to join the family and subscribe. You can also do a membership. There's a tip jar there too. Like that always helps. We love that. It helps us get cool new things, new mics, new lights, new cameras, things to make it more interesting and more immersive for you guys. So I mean, we would love for that. So I've got, let's see. So Basil's got Colts win. Don't want to give a score. Corey's got 31-13 Colts. Let's see, what is this Basil tangent here? But can the Ballard haters who are all over his ass for the Darius Rush cut give an apology? He's on his third team already. That's true, but we are still really, really thin. So, um, yeah, I mean, stay tuned. Keep your eyes open. Enjoy the game on Sunday. And like I always, we end the thing the same way we always do. I love you. I know Zach loves you. I'm out. I'll see you guys next time.